This is task I2. In this task, we're going to update the control implementation information. In this task, we document changes planned to control implementation based on the as implemented state of the controls. And we'll talk about that in a little bit later in this presentation. Potential inputs for this task are the security and privacy plans and information from control implementation efforts. Expected outputs from this task are security and privacy plans updated with implementation detail sufficient for use by the assessors and system configuration baselines. Primary responsibility for this task is the system owner or the common control provider. Supporting roles include the information owner or information steward, the security architect, the privacy architect, the system security engineer, the privacy engineer, the system security officer, the system privacy officer, the enterprise architect, and the system administrator. This does align with the SDLC. If this is a new system, it aligns with development and acquisition, also implementation and assessment. If it's an existing system, it aligns with operations and maintenance. It also aligns with the cybersecurity framework. It aligns with PRIP1, which is information protection, processes and procedures, a baseline configuration of information technology, industrial control system is created and maintained incorporating security principles, for example, the concept of least functionality, and it also aligns with profile. The first thing to talk about is the as implemented state. The book says, despite the control implementation details in the security and privacy plans and system design documents, it's not always feasible to implement controls as planned. Therefore, as control implementations are carried out, the security and privacy plans are updated with the as implemented control implementation details. So there's a lot to understand here, but essentially what we're talking about is earlier when we defined how the control was going to be implemented, we based that on our best guess or our assumptions we had about the system. As we started developing the system, it may become evident that those security or privacy controls can't be implemented as we planned. So in this step, we're going to go back and look at the plan and update it to reflect the way the control was actually implemented when we built the system. The updates include revised descriptions of the implemented controls, including changes to planned inputs, expected behavior, and expected output with sufficient detail to support the control assessments. So now that we've updated the control in the way that it was implemented, we want to make sure that the detail can provide the information needed for the control assessor when they come in the next step. Documenting the as implemented control information is essential to providing the capability to determine when there are changes to the controls, whether those changes are authorized, and the impact of the changes on the security and privacy posture of the system and the organization. So we want to make sure that the documentation we have on the information system matches the way that each and every one of our controls are actually implemented. So this is important because earlier we planned on implementing controls, and now we're going back and updating that planned implementation document with the actual way the control was implemented. This is what they refer to as implemented. So references for this task are 853, NIST Special Publication 800-128, NIST Special Publication 800-160, Volume 1. And in this short module, we discussed the task I2, its inputs, its outputs, roles and responsibility, the SDLC and CSF lifecycle alignments, the term as implemented, implementation revision, updating the documentation, including our system security plan, and the references that support this task. So if this all makes sense to you, go ahead and go on to the next task or go on to the lesson. If it doesn't make sense at all, go back to the sections you don't understand and review them again. Until the next lesson, I'll see you then.